Hey guys, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for joining me. I just got me a new sandwich pan mold through Amazon. I thought I'd try it out. It's called a Pullman bread pan, where the lid comes off and it makes a square loaf of bread. So I'm going to try it out. I always have a problem with puffy bread. It's got little holes in the bottom, I guess, for venting. And it just simply slides on. Show you here. So it has a flat top. So I'm going to be, oops, it's kind of hard with one hand. I'm going to be making a recipe for sandwich bread. And I have my 3/4 cup of water, 1/2 cup of milk, warmed up with 1 package of yeast. You can use whatever type of yeast. Or if you use yeast in the jar, it would be 2 and 1/2 teaspoons of yeast put into the milk. And I got it sitting on top of my stove here, warming up. Yeah, trying to, it might be too old. I had 1 jar of yeast that would expire later this year, and then, yeah, there wasn't enough in there, so this is the yeast added to it. They had an expiration of 2015, but I keep my yeast in the refrigerator, and I found there hasn't been a problem with old yeast. And there we got 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of sugar. I got my little recipe written down here. So we'll get my little tablespoon out. And I'm going to add that to my flour. 1 tablespoon of sugar to my 2 cups of flour. Then I'm going to need 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 3 tablespoons of butter. The salt that I'm going to be using is Himalayan pink salt. So, let's see here. There's 1. And 1/2. I'm going to need. A little hard with one hand when I'm filming with the other. Alright. Oops, there we go. And we'll add that. And then it calls for 3 tablespoons of butter, which I have, and I'll add that. And we'll put it in the mixer. And then add my water and milk yeast. So it's been sitting for a few minutes, and I don't see it bubbling and creating life. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon SAF instant. It's instant yeast. So I'm going to do that. Showing you guys all the things that I'm going through. Yeah, that yeast from 2015 just might be a little too old. Yeah. I keep this in the refrigerator too. I keep all my yeast in the refrigerator. So we'll mix it in and see if it grows. See, this one's actually starting to show bubbles. And we'll wait a few minutes and see if my yeast is gonna grow. The trials of errors of Grandma Mary's kitchen. Well, that made a lot of difference. It's really bubbling away now. So I'm going to add it to my flour and sugar. The water and the milk that I put the yeast in, that was lukewarm. You don't have to scald your milk anymore. Scalding used to be required because milk didn't used to be pasteurized like it is now. Alright, we're going to add it to the milk and butter and all that. And then mix it up in my mixer. Okay. I'll lower it and start mixing. Okay. We'll be back in a few minutes. Well, it looks a little watery to me, so I'm going to add a little flour to it so it thickens up into a ball for raising, so it rises nice. Just doing a little pinch at a time. When I was tasting it, it tasted a little salty to me. Might have been because it was salted butter. You're supposed to use unsalted butter. So maybe next time I won't use the salt. Alright, it's looking good. I lifted it up so I could scrape it off the beater and flip it around and rotate it. I'll mix it a little bit more, but it looks like it's getting some good stretchability. You know, that yeast is growing in there. I'll let it mix a little bit more. Yeah. Then I'll put it in a bowl and I'll let it rise. And then I'll punch it down. And then I'll put it in the bread pan and see how that comes out. Alright, I'm going to scrape it off the paddle. Yeah, see, it looks good. It looks really good. And I'll put it in a bowl and see how long it takes to rise for the first rising. Yeah, because I don't know. I've never done this recipe before. Alright, so it doubled in size, which took about 2 hours. So for the second rising, I'm just putting it in the pan and going to put the lid on. I have never done this recipe before. I don't know if it'll be 1 loaf or 2 loaf. It looks like 1 loaf. And we'll put the lid on, let it rise in there. Another thing I was thinking, how the heck do you know when it's done? Right? Because it's closed up. So, yeah. It says 30 to 40 minutes for the recipe to cook in the pan. Trying to clean off some of this flour. I guess it don't matter. I'll just keep peeking on it, I suppose, as it rises in the pan, and then I'll stick it in the oven for 30 minutes, and I'll check it, I suppose, and go from there. But before that, I'm just gonna let it rise, set it here on the top of the oven, let it rise in the pan before I put it in the oven. Anyways, it's like a trial and error. You don't know unless you try, right? Alright, back in a little bit. Alright, so it's been like an hour and a half, and it looks like it's pretty well risen. So I got my oven heating at 350, but I guess I should wait till it beeps, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, oven's at 350, and we'll put her in there. There we go. Alright. Supposedly in about 30 minutes it will be done. And we'll check it in 30 minutes. I don't know. Where's it at? I can't see it. Alright, I had to add an extra 15 minutes. 30 minutes wasn't long enough. And there it is. It didn't rise up really any much higher than what I had. Let's pull that off. I got a shadow of myself. Anyways, it looks good. So not bad for my first attempt at Pullman bread. Supposed to let it sit with it just cracked open for a few minutes. And then when I take it out, flip it over and take it out, wrap it in a towel so it retains the moisture. Alright, there it is. Yeah, I'm going to have to try a piece. I couldn't wait until it completely cooled down. I cut it fairly thin. Yeah. That's good. That is really good. Nice texture. So if you have any tips, let me know. Put it down below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.